making headlines this hour. Maldives to mobilize 6.48 million US dollars. India grant aid to expand public ferry network. Ministry of Tourism and Environment figures shows the daily tourist arrivals to the Maldives have increased considerably during the past 2 months. And Commissioner General of Taxation says Maldives Inland Revenue Authority is advancing a comprehensive digital overhaul of its tax administration.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation says the government is set to mobilize the $6.48 million grant aid provided by India to expand the public ferry network. Maldives and India in May signed 13 memorandums of understanding or MOUs for projects to be implemented under the Indian Grant Assistance Scheme High Impact Community Development Project or HICDP Phase 3. The 13 projects launched under this phase amount to a total grant of $6.48 million US dollars, primarily aimed at enhancing ferry services in the Maldives, expanding connectivity and uplifting community livelihoods. Deputy Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation Ibrahim Yasir told PSM News Raj the program that more ferries are being built to expand the service to more atolls, adding that 4 are currently being built to be used as backup ferries on the existing network. Yasir said the work of commissioning the construction of more ferries is underway. The project has received a generous grant aid from the Government of India, under which 12 ferries and 1 zone ferry terminal will be developed, he said. Yasir said the zone ferry terminals are the main terminal hubs which serve all the atolls and islands within that respective zone, adding that mobilization efforts for the project in Ungufaru Ra Atoll has already commenced. The Raja Transport Link or RTL service, now operational in its 11th atoll, is expected to provide affordable and reliable transportation for more than 12,000 residents across 13 inhabited islands. The national rollout of the RTL network is being carried out in phases, with the country divided into 6 geographic zones to support systematic implementation. The government has reaffirmed its commitment to extending the RTL service to all remaining atolls before the end of the calendar year. Ministry of Tourism and Environment figures shows daily tourist arrivals to the Maldives have increased considerably during the past 2 months.
According to the latest tourism update report, an average of 6,015 tourists arrive in the Maldives every day, up from around 4,000 in May and June this year. A total of 1.2 million tourists have been welcomed to the Maldives as of July, marking a 9.5% increase over the same period last year. July has more than made up for the slight dip in arrivals in May and June, exceeding the combined total to cross 180,000 tourist arrival, the figures showed. China has continued to maintain the top spot of the tourist source markets, followed by Russia in second. The top 3 source markets are China 188,317 tourists, Russia 152,385 tourists, United Kingdom 120,937 tourists. As per the usual trend, the majority of tourists have preferred to spend their holidays in tourist resorts so far this year, with 73.1%, followed by guest houses with 22%, while tourist hotels accounted for just 2.7% in third place. The government has set an ambitious target of attracting 2.3 million tourists to the Maldives this year, surpassing the 2 million record-breaking figure last year.
Ministry of Social and Family Development says the government has expanded the Halukihina program to 15 atolls thus far. The initiative, launched in May last year, involves visiting residents across all islands in the Maldives to assess their well-being, identify individuals in need, and provide necessary services. In an interview with PSM News, Deputy Minister of Social and Family Development, Mariam Lahfa, said assistance is being provided to vulnerable families identified through the program, including job and training opportunities. According to Lahfa, the government is now aiming to expand the program to islands in Mimu, Vavu, Alifa Alifa, and Alifadal atolls before taking it nationwide before the end of this calendar year. The Halukihina program initially began in Hulumale. In alignment with President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's vision of fostering a compassionate society, the program aims to strengthen relationships and build trust between the government and the citizens. The Ministry of Social and Family Development is working closely with public service institutions, relevant agencies and atoll councils, local island councils, and women's development committees, or WDCs, to conduct the program. The goal is to visit every household in the Maldives within a year to identify individuals requiring special assistance from the state. Commissioner General of Taxation Hassan Zarir says the Maldives Inland Revenue Authority, or MIRA, is advancing a comprehensive digital overhaul of its tax administration, guided by a strategic roadmap designed to improve compliance and streamline operations. He outlined the initiative during a ceremony commemorating the agency's 15th anniversary.
Central to the transformation is the planned introduction of an electronic invoicing system modeled on frameworks deployed in advanced economies. The platform will integrate MIRA's systems with those of taxpayers, reducing the complexity of meeting fiscal obligations. Digital adoption within the authority has already reached significant levels. According to Zarir, 97% of tax statements and 99% of payments are now submitted online. These figures, he stated, reflect the agency's commitment to modernization and its focus on delivering efficient public services. The rise in digital uptake parallels MIRA's fiscal growth. In 2011, the authority collected $295.70 million in revenue. By 2024, the total has climbed to $1.82 billion. MIRA now accounts for 82.5% of the nation's total revenue intake. Zarir credited this performance to the dedication of the agency's commissioners, senior officials and employees, as well as the continued cooperation of taxpayers. He described the advancement as a defining chapter in the institutional evolution of Maldivian tax administration. Founded on 2nd August 2010 with a staff of approximately 40, MIRA has expanded to employ more than 300 personnel. Its operations span 18 offices across the country. As the agency enters its 16th year, Zarir reiterated its priority to further develop administrative capacity and enhance professional competencies in response to emerging national demands.
Managing Director of the Malay Water and Sewerage Company, or MWSC, Abdul Mateen Mohammed, reaffirms that the Maldivian public stands to benefit directly from strengthening of foreign relations and the peace cultivated through international cooperation. His comments, delivered during an appearance on PSM News Rajamia, the program, reflected on the recent state visits by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sri Lanka's President Anura Kumara Dissanayaka. Mateen highlighted the historical foundations of ties between the Maldives and its neighboring states, describing these relations as enduring and culturally embedded. He highlighted that Maldivians have traditionally upheld respectful engagement within principled boundaries, an ethic he described as vital to protect. Citing the participation of regional leaders in Independence Day events, Mateen pointed to the administration of President Dr. Mohamed Muiz as instrumental in revitalizing the country's diplomatic profile. He characterized this as a marked shift in foreign policy and a sign of growing esteem from neighboring governments. He also drew attention to the Maldives' commitment to assert its position when necessary, noting that respect for all nations remains central provided sovereign boundaries are not crossed. In this context, he described the easing of diplomatic tensions and the emergence of a cooperative international climate as important developments for the nation. Mateen indicated that such improvements in international relations carry concrete advantages for the Maldivian public. He reiterated that policies anchored in public interest, along with efforts to deepen friendships abroad, reflect substantial progress in national governance. Looking to the 60th Independence Day commemorations, Mateen described the presence of regional dignitaries as a signal of recognition for President Muiz's symbolic red line, a boundary defined to protect Maldivian sovereignty. He concluded that this acknowledgement represents a major diplomatic accomplishment for the president and his administration. Maldives Transport and Contracting Company Limited (MTCC) successfully completes 9 projects and mobilizes 64 more in the second quarter of this year.
According to MTCC's second quarter report, the company oversaw the management of 313 projects encompassing the construction of harbors, airports, shore protection, dredging and reclamation, roads, buildings, and causeways. Continued from last year's exceptional operational performance, and 9 projects were brought to successful completion, while work on 64 projects was mobilized during the quarter. Additionally, 35 projects were awarded within the same time frame with a total value of $92.1 million. MTCC reported a net profit of $1.81 million for the second quarter of the year, marking a decisive recovery from the loss recorded in the preceding quarter. The rebound was attributed to sustained momentum in the company's construction and land reclamation division. The company's financial disclosure noted total income of $31.79 million, reflecting a 17.7% increase over the $27.12 million posted in the first quarter. That growth in revenue underpinned the broader improvement in profitability.
Ooredoo Maldives is marking its 20th anniversary, celebrating 2 decades of innovation and service since its debut in the nation's telecommunications sector. Introduced to the Maldivian market as Wataniya on the 1st of August 2005, the company has played a defining role in modernizing digital infrastructure across the island nation. Its entry into the market signaled more than just competition. It catalyzed a shift in national connectivity, prompting a rapid technological advancement and sectoral expansion. 8 years after its founding, the company adopted the Ooredoo name, now closely associated with progress in telecommunications. Early advertising campaigns from the Wataniyans, a reminder of the brand's long. Over the past 20 years, Ooredoo Maldives has introduced a suite of services that have reshaped how Maldivians communicate, underscoring its reputation for customer-focused innovation and sustained investment. Khalil Hassan M.A. Al-Hamadi, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Ooredoo Maldives, attributes its progress over the past 2 decades to a sustained focus on community integration and responsiveness to customer needs. According to Al-Hamadi, service offerings have been continually refined to reflect changing consumer expectations, reinforcing Ooredoo's position as a dynamic force in the nation's communications landscape. Al-Hamadi pointed to workforce composition as further evidence of local investment, noting that Maldivians make up 90% of the company's current staff. He described this as a deliberate strategy to support national capacity building and reinforce the company's role in strengthening the country's telecommunications infrastructure. Promotional campaigns launched to coincide with the anniversary reflect this broader ethos of community engagement. In April, the company introduced the Live Unlimited initiative, which includes a lucky draw held every 20 days. Customers spending $16.22 or more on any Ooredoo service qualify for the draw, with 19 recipients designated to receive an Umrah pilgrimage. A final draw will award the grand prize, a Hajj pilgrimage for 2 individuals. Other celebratory offers center on digital access and convenience. From the 1st of August to the 7th of August, customers are eligible for a bonus of up to 20% on selected data packs. The first 3 days of August also saw the launch of additional incentives, including a spin the wheel and win contest and a tailored M-FASA promotion. Under the latter, customers placing orders on Foodies via M-FASA during August will benefit from a 5% discount on their next Foodies purchase. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Friday that Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva can call him any time to discuss tariffs and other friction between the countries.
Speaking to reporters at the White House, Trump said Lula can talk to him anytime he wants. He added he was fond of the Brazilian people, but the people running Brazil did the wrong thing. Later, speaking with reporters in Brasilia, Brazil Finance Minister Fernando Haddad called Trump's remarks great, saying he is sure Lula feels the same and he would be willing to receive a call from the U.S. president. He added that he had contact with U.S. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent's team so that the two parties can have a meeting next week. In a post on his X account, Lula said Brazil has always been open to dialogue, although he did not mention Trump nor his earlier remarks. Trump slapped a 50% tariff on Brazil with many exemptions starting next week to fight what he has called a witch hunt against a former president, Jair Bolsonaro, who is on trial on charges of plotting a coup against his election loss in 2022.
WHO Logistics Officer Ihab Hattab says 11 trucks worth of life-saving medical supplies were delivered to a new warehouse in Gaza operated by the World Health Organization or WHO on the 1st of August.
In a video released by the international public health body, trucks with large loads could be seen entering the compound with forklifts, moving boxes from the lorries into the warehouse. Gaza's healthcare system has been crippled since Israel launched a genocide in response to Hamas's cross-border attack on October 7, 2023. Israeli attacks on Palestinian hospitals and health facilities, detentions of medics, and restrictions on the entry of medical supplies have drawn condemnation from the United Nations, with the UN's humanitarian agency OCHA saying in May that there had been at least 686 attacks impacting healthcare in Gaza since the war began. In July, OCHA said only 18 of Gaza's 36 hospitals were functioning, but only on a partial basis. 10 out of 16 field hospitals are operational, and just over a third of Gaza's primary healthcare centers were partially functioning.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he ordered the movement of 2 nuclear submarines to save people in response to statements from former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. He did not specify what he meant by nuclear submarines. Submarines may be nuclear-powered or armed with nuclear missiles.
It is extremely rare for the U.S. military to discuss the deployment and locations of U.S. submarines, given their sensitive mission in nuclear deterrence. The U.S. Navy declined comment. The Pentagon did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Trump and Medvedev, who is a deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, have traded towns in recent days after Trump said Russia had 10 days from today to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine or be hit with tariffs along with its oil buyers. Medvedev on July 31st said Trump should remember that Moscow possessed Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities of last resort after Trump told Medvedev to watch his words.
Oh yeah, well we had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said on August 1st that Moscow hoped for more peace talks with Ukraine, but that the momentum of the war was in its favor. He made no reference to the deadline. Trump, who in the past touted good relations with Putin, has expressed mounting frustrations with the Russian leader, accusing him of bullshit and describing Russia's latest attacks on Ukraine as disgusting.
Japan's Miyu Yamashita surged into the lead at the AIG Women's Open with a superb second round 7 under 65 at Royal Port Call with compatriot and joint overnight leader Ryo Teteka 3 shots adrift.
England's Lottie Ward, the bookmakers' favourite despite the tournament being her first major as a professional, mounted a charge for a triple bogey. At the 16th meant she settled for a 2 under 70 to be 9 shots adrift at the halfway point. World number 1 Nelly Korda struggled with her putting in an even par 72 round that left her level with Ward. Yamashita took full advantage of the tranquil early morning conditions on the South Wales coast, setting the tone for a scintillating round with birdies at her opening 2 holes. 3 more birdies around the turn, another at the 13th, and then a final flourish at the 18th where she sank yet another birdie. Put meant she walked off with a commanding lead ahead of freshening winds that troubled the later groups. Takeda, who began the day on 5 under alongside a compatriot Eri Okayama, slipped back with a bogey at the 6th, but a trap-in eagle at the par 5 9th got her back on track. 2 more birdies on the way back in kept this year's US Open runner on the heels of Yamashita. Australia's Steph Kyriacou had plenty of fireworks with a wild round that included a hole-in-one at the 8th. She had only 1 par on the back 9, making 2 birdies, 5 bogeys, and a chip-in eagle at the 18th to make the cut.
In an effort to combat wildlife trafficking, South African scientists are inserting radioactive material into rhino horns to make them traceable and less desirable to poachers.
The initiative, known as the Rhizotope Project, is led by the University of the Witwatersrand and supported by the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. It combines the safe placement of radioactive isotopes into rhino horns with existing nuclear security infrastructure to detect and deter illegal trade. The method involves drilling into the horn and placing a small amount of radioactive material inside. The rhinos are sedated during the procedure, and health assessments conducted by Ghent University in Belgium have confirmed the process is non-invasive and poses no risk to the animals.
By making the horns radioactive, we are making those horns, devaluing those horns in the eyes of the poacher and the end users. No one wants a radioactive horn.
In June 2024, radioisotopes were inserted into 20 rhinos as part of a pilot phase. The results were announced at an event in Limpopo on July 30th. South Africa, home to the world's largest rhino population, remains a hotspot for poaching. According to the Ministry of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, 103 rhinos were killed in the first quarter of 2025 alone. The IAEA is providing both technical and financial support to the project under its Coordinated Research Project on Nuclear Detection Technology. The agency says the same radiation pollution monitors used to detect smuggled nuclear material can now be used to intercept trafficked rhino horn.
Radiation portal monitors were not initially envisioned as rhino savers. They are a cornerstone of nuclear security detection infrastructure used to detect the smuggling of nuclear and other radioactive material. The Rhizotope project means this technology will now also help combat illicit wildlife trafficking.
The project's success could pave the way for similar applications to protect other endangered species, including elephants and pangolins. For now, conservationists hope this fusion of science and security will offer a powerful new line of defense and a future for the species.
That's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.